After 40 days in the desert, Jesus and his mother Mary were returning to Nazareth. But when they arrived at the city gate, Mary realized that she had left her son's favorite cloak behind. "Oh, my son," Mary said, "we're too far from home now to go back for it. But if you want your cloak very much, then we must go to Jerusalem, because I'm sure that the cloak is still there." "All right," said Jesus. And so the two of them turned around and headed back to the city. They were praising him because Jesus was there, for they did not know that he was the Son of God. They only knew that he was the son of Mary. Now, when they entered Jerusalem, all the people in the temple courts began to praise God. So Mary stayed in the temple and taught the law and the prophets until Jesus was 12 years old. Who do you think this child is? I have seen a prophet rise up among the children, and this child is he who is called the King of Israel. When the people saw the beautiful garments that Mary had made for Jesus, some of the women said to one another, "She knew that someday she would understand what they meant." "Why do you teach this in the temple courts?" And Mary took them all into the temple. Another time he calmed a raging wind and a boat that was about to sink. Yet another time he raised a dead girl from the grave. But even while working alongside his Father, Jesus would often go into the hills and pray. Sometimes he would spend entire days praying, and the people would come to him with their problems, and Jesus would help them. But the chief priests and the scribes were filled with hatred. They hated Jesus because he was curing people on the Sabbath. "Did you not know that I must be about my Father's business?" When everyone had entered the temple, Mary said to the chief priests and the scribes, "You know that the law says that a son is under obligation to his father's house." She was troubled that so much hate was being directed toward her son. So she said, "Help them, Lord, for they don't know what they're doing." His disciples went with him, but when they reached a certain place, Jesus told them to wait here while he went a little further to pray. Now then, what was I teaching them? I was teaching them how to fulfill the law and the prophets. Meanwhile, an angel came to Mary and told her to come quickly to Jesus. Then the chief priests and the scribes came to Mary and said to her. The chief priests and the scribes were astonished. The people also marveled at these sayings of Jesus. His mother Mary was astonished at what he had said, but his father Joseph was a bit angry and asked Jesus why he had done such a thing. "Your mother and I have been searching for you anxiously. Look, your brother and sisters have gone into the wilderness looking for you." At the age of 12, Jesus went down with them to Nazareth. "My son, why have you treated us like this?" And Jesus replied, "How is it that you yourselves were looking for me?" Joseph didn't understand what Jesus meant by this, but Mary kept the words in mind. So they all returned to their home in Nazareth, and Jesus grew up there, working in his father's carpentry shop. One time he cured a blind man and a lame man. Meanwhile, the fame of Jesus was spreading throughout the region, and many people were coming to him for help. So they went out into the street and shouted to the people, "Stop following this man. He is a heretic and a blasphemer." But the more the chief priests and the scribes tried to harm Jesus, the more the people loved him and followed him. Meanwhile, Mary was watching all of this happen from afar. And one night when everything seemed to be going against them, Jesus went out into the wilderness to pray. And as he was praying, the disciples got into a big disagreement over who was the greatest. Mary dropped to her knees before Jesus and asked him, "Why are the disciples arguing?" And Jesus looked at her and said, "I sent you to the wilderness to be tested. And what did you bring back with you? Stones." Mary understood that Jesus was talking about the disciples, and that they had taken on the wrong kind of stones. And just then, the disciples ran over to them and cried out, "Master, we found 12 stones here, just like the ones you told us to gather." Jesus smiled and said, "Well, I see that you have brought back the right kind of stones, but where's your faith?" Then he placed his hands on the disciples' heads and blessed them. Mary rejoiced to see that Jesus was pleased with them.